Hello everyone, good morning. I'm Paridhi and I'm the representative from the team Healthy Minds World. Thank you so much for joining our session today. Hope you're all doing well. We're definitely, before we begin, I would like to emphasize on the note that irrespective of whichever part of the country you're in, please remember that we're still not over. We still have a fight to deal with the virus, and the only way we can do that is by staying in, by following the safety guidelines, and yes, only stepping out if it's urgent, if we don't have an option. So with that, I would like to start our session for today. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, thank you so much. We really hope you have a nice session. And for those of you who've been a part of our previous sessions, thank you so much. It's definitely encouraging to see you guys. I believe that one of the reasons why we're here today as a team Healthy Minds, we're definitely, uh, we do understand that in our journey so far, it's been almost 4 to 5 months now. And without you guys, I don't think it would have been possible. So, on that note, I would like to set a little context for those of you who are not, aware of how the platform came to be. So, around, late March to early April, when the lockdown came into effect, when the virus had kicked off in our country, Pallav and Vivek, right, who are the two co-founders of the platform, who had also been working together on a different business model, decided that while understanding the impact of not just the virus on their business model, but also on their personal selves, especially that of mental health. Those conversations essentially brought about this realization that at a time like this, conversations around positive mental well-being, around understanding various kinds of mental health disorders, and especially from a perspective, for a person who had already been undergoing symptoms, but the lockdown in a way aggravated those symptoms. So those were some of the problems that they wanted to fix, and that was the primary reason with which Healthy Minds World came to be as an online platform, right? Providing awareness, in fact, increased awareness, I would say, around mental health and offering digital therapy. So they started off, and under the guidance of Khushbu, we've definitely expanded. We're now a team of around 15 young individuals comprising of senior psychologists, counselors, therapists, as well as mental health and marketing professionals. And we've also ventured into the zone of online workshops and webinars with the same agenda, right, of understanding mental health from a holistic perspective. So we've been conducting workshops and webinars on not just purely academic psychology topics, but also from an awareness perspective for a person who's trying to get a deeper insight into the functioning of the human mind. So, to give you a glimpse, we will be sharing this links to our social media channels, to our website. So, if you would like to go watch one of the sessions that have been attended, or would like to sign up for the future sessions, you can totally do that. To provide a glimpse of what we've done so far, we've conducted to talk about the workshops, we've conducted around topics that look at mental health uh, from a perspective of not just a woman, but also of understanding different aspects when it comes to the treatment side, right? So we've done art therapy, we've conducted several other, we'll be sharing the details of them in the chat sections. If you're interested, please do look up. I will not delve on that more because we have a session to hold. So I would, on that note, like to introduce our topic for today, right, and give a little set a little context as to why we're having a session on premenstrual syndrome and its impact on mental health. Uh, I'm not sure if you are aware, but uh, almost a month back, we decided that when it comes to a woman's life, there are different challenges that she has to face in different roles that she undertakes. Right? If you see right from childhood, there are different expectations that are set on her, and these expectations then impact her mental health in a different way. So the way it impacts my mental health would have been completely different from the way it would have impacted yours, right? And with that, I mean, you grow up, so first you have decisions regarding your education. What college would you want to join? Would it be in India? Would it be abroad? Then there's the financial aspect, and post that you have a career to choose, you have a partner to decide, and then comes decisions around families, around motherhood, and so on and so forth. So with each of these roles, there are different uh, challenges that are thrown at her, right? The way, uh, be it, I mean, it includes a lot of aspects. So there's the physical health, there is the psychological, and then there's also the financial aspect that comes into play. So these were some of the areas that we wanted to cover through this series. And it's definitely, today when I look back, it's definitely nice to see that we have touched upon a lot of those. So if I'm not sure how many of you have been a part of our sessions before, but right from understanding the challenges that adolescence throws on us to understanding what are the different roles and expectations from women, to the work life balance, especially say if you're a married woman, or if you have in-laws into the picture, followed by more psychologically sensitive aspects such as antepartum and postpartum depression. And there are a lot more, so I will not again go into the details, but if I would definitely suggest that please do have a look. And yeah, so for a session for today, right, we have uh, with us Payal Irani is an entrepreneur. She's a therapist, a keynote speaker, as well as an author. She has been working in the social sector for the past 15 years, predominantly with NGOs as well as schools. And she's also a licensed psychogeometrics master facilitator and coach, a Gestalt therapist, a NLP programmer, and she continues contributing to mental health sector on a broad scale. Thank you so much, Payal, for joining our session today.
Thank you, Paridhi. Such a
Def-
lovely introduction. Thank you so much.
Definitely nice to have Payal with us on our panel today.
Yeah.
And Payal, before we begin, I would want to set a very short context as to our session for today. And for the flow, I believe we have, some questions for you that we want to get your insights on. And as for the participants, we could, they could definitely share their queries, their questions on the chat section below. And when a particular topic is being discussed and, their query is pertaining to that topic, then we have our panelists to help, bring that question.
So I would like to congratulate Healthy Minds, this team of dynamic young entrepreneurs. Congratulations, you all are doing a fab job. And thank you, audience, for removing valuable time on a Sunday with your family, and still you're coming here and giving that much time to learn and explore. So let's begin, Paridhi. I'll give a short, small, brief intro of mine. My name is Payal Irani. I've been born and brought up in Mumbai. I've been an entrepreneur since few years, it's more than 15 years. Some events in my life changed completely, and that's how brought me here in mental sector. So I'm trying my best since few years to give my best in mental health sector. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Pyle. So, before we begin, I would want to again talk a little about premenstrual syndrome, right? Why we've picked this topic. As a woman, I think it's something that a lot of people would relate to, right? The time, the specific, duration of anywhere between 5 to 7 days, and also I would say even more than that, or even lesser than that for some cases. It's a duration where one goes through, I would say, a roller coaster of emotions, of uh, physical challenges, not just biological challenges, and the way it impacts our day to day life, the way it impacts our functioning, the way it impacts, our relation with those around us is definitely something that needs to be talked about. And on that note, I would also want to mention that it's quite sad that in a country like ours, even today, menstruation carries a lot of taboo. There's a lot of stigma. There are not enough conversations happening. I'm sure there are, will be not as bad as we were a couple of, say, decades ago, but still, I believe there are certain stereotypes, there are certain, I would say, regressive ideologies that still are prevalent, which prevents us from dealing, with premenstrual syndrome. And today's session is essentially about understanding how can we deal with it better. And we have Payal with us to look at it from a treatment perspective, and how we can deal with it better in a nutshell, right?
Yes.
So, Payal, to start with, I think, yeah, as you already mentioned, it's definitely nice to see you all here on a Sunday morning. Thank you so much for taking out your valuable time. And we really hope you enjoy our session today. With that, I would then start with the first question, which is about understanding what is the difference between premenstrual syndrome and premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and what are the symptoms for the two.
Okay. So premenstrual syndrome and premenstrual dysphoric disorder is similar. But only thing is premenstrual dysphoric disorder is a more of a serious concern. So let me dive deeper into it. So for example, research has said around 80% women have mild PMS syndrome, like premenstrual syndrome, and around 5%, which is a serious concern, they go through premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So why this happens? And it also coexists in your day-to-day lifestyle. So in a mental health condition which is diagnosable, so there are, mind mood shifts, anger, anxiety, symptoms like depression, lack of concentration in your day to day life. You lose interest what you like to do, and also there are appetite changes, fatigue is there, drained energy, the feeling of overwhelming being overwhelmed. For example, when I go through the situation, 1 week before PMS, my this shoulder gets stiff. So that's my stress area. That is my very trigger area. Why it's happening? What is the cause? With awareness, I come to know. So I started changing dietary lifestyle, and with awareness, because the pain is there, and when my period starts, so maybe on second or third day, the pain goes away. So I am aware. So the stress triggers here. So we need to be aware in premenstrual dysphoric disorder as well as in PMS. So there are physical changes also, Paridhi, like there are tender breasts, horse flushes, bloating up, cramps, and these symptoms shows 2 to 3 weeks before the PMS. There is also some research which is there is these hormonal fluctuation which happen, which is fluctuation which happens in our body, and there is this chemical released in the brain called serotonin. That is why the reason we have this mood swings. Also, a doctor can prescribe us some hormonal pills where, like, for few days or for a month, it is there, which gives us a proper body without pain during PMS. And so this is a symptom of uh, dysphoric disorder, menstrual dysphoric disorder. When I come to PMS, there are common symptoms that almost all women go through. So there is pain, nausea, joint pain, muscle pain, uh, irritability, food craving. For example, we have this certain kind of sweet or salty craving, and when I have that sweet craving, I definitely go and grab a bite of a piece of dark chocolate. But where this craving is coming from, did we ever, like, have we ever felt about it? Are we aware of where this craving is coming from? So we need to completely focus on our body with awareness, pre-menstrual, during menstrual, and even post-menstrual. So these are the very weak days, and also it gives us time to introspect also.
Definitely. That's a wonderful note to start with. I think you've rightly pointed out that all of us, I mean, I'm hoping that at least some of us can relate to those cravings, whether it's, for something sweet, whether it's for something salty, but not, ever going to the, reaching that stage of understanding the situation and bringing that awareness is something that can bring about change. And as you've mentioned, it's about caring for the body on all at all times, right? So there's pre, there is during, as well as post, for a complete understanding. Wonderful. So to uh, talking about what you've mentioned, right, further to that about dietary and lifestyle changes, uh, how do you think that a nutrient rich diet, when combined with the adequate sleep, exercise, as well as stress management, can help when it comes to uh, PMS?
Okay. So, firstly, let me begin what we eat, what you eat before, during, and post. Menstrual is very important because it affects our emotional, physical, and mental well being. So, what we eat, we are. There is a saying which is called what we eat, we are. So, during this period when changes happen, so we lose lots of water. So, Paridi, when water is lost, we also lose iron, we also lose minerals, magnesium, vitamins, calcium, and everything. So it's simple formula I'm giving here is what you lose, you need to restore. You are losing it in a natural way. You have to restore it in a natural way. So how will we restore? By, of course, by taking first step, which is small steps of dietary changes. We need to journal before 1 week or 2 weeks before the periods, before the cycle, that what we are eating which is causing us mood swings, because definitely it is the environment also. And for example, I have this strong craving of junk food, but is it going to give me any benefit for my body? No, ultimately I'll gain weight. So again, coming craving for a sweet because it's a quick fix of eating, chocolate or anything sweet or salty. But is it giving benefits to my body? No. The lack of calcium inside my body, the lack of magnesium, amino acids, minerals, all the vitamins D, A, B, C, is because of that. And because during the cycle, menstrual cycle, when we also lose all this. So we have to be aware that what we eat, is it benefiting for our body? And small changes, having light food, avoiding oily food, having fresh juices, preferably vegetable juices, and even sweet potatoes are good for, for health during this cycle.
Okay. I think that's definitely nice to hear. I guess when we usually, you know, think of PMS, it's always equated to dark chocolate. There is cheese craving, but our mind doesn't really go to the healthier side. We never think about juices, we never think about sweet potato, which are both, helpful when it comes to the mood swings, as well as a healthier alternative. So we're not really putting our body, uh, it's a quick fix, definitely, but then there's definitely the added stress of, gaining the weight. So thank you, Payal. I think we
So the
will
constant,
definitely.
yeah, I'll share here. So the constant pain which we go through the causes is because of inflammation. And the inflammation is also because of this lack of nutrients in our body. So we have to change our dietary lifestyle. We have to take micro nano nutrients, which is good, like nuts, dried figs, there is this pumpkin seeds. So if you add it in milk and have it, so it gives you lots of, the good skin will happen, good hair, as well as it will give your tummy very relaxing. You won't feel craving of sweet or anything junk food. So if you pick out healthy food, healthy options, it works for you.
Definitely. We will keep this in mind for sure. So talking about medications, right, when it comes to undergoing severe pain, when do you think should anti-anxiety or anti-depression medications be prescribed to women?
So, Pari, the antidepressant medicines do work for women, but we have to be aware the clinical signs, the clinical symptoms inside the woman. So, a woman who goes through this, a female, has to understand, has to be aware of the symptoms. So, if she, because of depression or because of lack of awareness, if she is unable to, recognize the symptoms, so people around her, family or friends, can help her. So, yeah, antidepressants work through clinical signs and symptoms, but also it comes with side effects.
Right. So then talking about natural, ways, talking about therapy, how do you think does ecotherapy help in uplifting the mood and reducing stress during the periods? And there's also a second part to this question, talking about natural modes, right? How do you think complementary and alternate therapies such as yoga, meditation, massage, or acupuncture? And then I think there are also those who believe in aromatherapy, right? Using scented candles or listening to soothing music help when it comes to dealing with the stress, anxiety, and the mood swings, or sometimes even low self esteem during periods.
Okay. So, what is ecotherapy? Ecotherapy is again environmental natural therapies, which is resources are available naturally around us in our house, outside. For example, if you walk on a grass, green grass with bare foot, it of course it will give you lots of energy from that. And for example, there is a hot water bag in your house. You take that, you use that. That's inside ecotherapy. You use ice packs, cold packs. And coming towards, and we have to be mindful because some hot bags work for some women, hot water bags doesn't work for some women. So we need to be mindful about that. And also meditation. So gather yourself at one place, all your thoughts, and even 2 to 5 minutes and 2 to 3 times in a day. If you meditate, that is enough. So there's not necessary that we have to sit for half an hour, 15 minutes, even 5 minutes. If you gather all yourself and your thoughts at one place, sit down, close your eyes, keep a candle and meditate. It works for yourself. Light yoga exercises, light, not much heavy, will also keep you fit. Music is kind for me. It works like a happy hormone. So if somebody like puts a hip hop music, I'll just start to dance and I'll forget the pain, my menstrual pain which I'm going through. So yeah, music, you have to go with the flow in the music. And coming to self esteem and self worth. So the feeling of again this PMS also comes from a woman who, from the women's females who feel are dejected, who reject themselves, who don't love themselves, who have that feeling of, whether they have been rejected in the society, they have rejected their own sex. It comes from not self-worth, they reject their self. So once you start loving yourself, being in your own, in your own life, giving priority, being tender, being kind to your body, pampering with yourself with good things works, because self-esteem again comes from your self-worth. If you're feeling low about yourself, you'll always feel low, no matter how many people around you, your goodwill, well wishes will try to give you the best, the surroundings, but it's up to you to feel good about your own body. Even if you were, so there is this, having a zero figure trend and being fit, because even fitness women go through the same pain. So unless you start loving yourself, as a self esteem, you raise your own self esteem, and you have to work for yourself, lots of inner work. So there are self love exercises. Basically you need to have a love affair with your own self. That's how you'll overcome those self esteem issues.
Definitely. So we have a few questions that I would definitely want to pick from the participants, but quickly talking about therapy, and I think you rightly mentioned that ecotherapy is definitely wonderful in terms of connecting with our environment, and also in a way connecting with ourselves as well, right? Understanding our body better and loving it no matter what figure or what uh, state you're in, right? Acceptance is definitely great. How effective do you think are psychotherapies like CBT when it comes to PMS?
So, Pariti, all psychotherapies work wonders, and especially so it works as a miracle for women who are going through PMS. So, CBT, it allows the shifting process. So, it's called cognitive behavior therapy. So, how you shift from A to B. So, with awareness, when a woman is in pain, we bring them from that A sector when she is in that A pain to B, which is pleasure, with cognition, with that awareness, is called cognitive behavior therapy. And again, here, the psychological factor, the psychosomatic works in any therapist, it works, it comes with miracles, because woman works for herself and undergoes and overcomes the dejection of her life, the pain, the stress which she goes through. Yeah. So any kind of therapy is miraculous, and CBT works the best.
Perfect. I have an important question from one of the participants who asked that, understanding what are the causes of PMS, right? From, I think, a deeper perspective, and why is it that we experience PMS in some months, whereas, so essentially that, sometimes we do undergo PMS, but then there are also some months where, we're completely fine. So why do you think this happens?
So again, it completely depends on the environment where you are, and also your dietary changes. So you need to be aware before few weeks of your PMS, what are the diet you are having, because that fluctuates our mood, and that fluctuates the hormones in our body. So yes, start journaling the feelings, how you feel, what you feel, when you feel, and what is triggering you, what is causing you the stress. So for example, me, before getting my PMS, the stress comes here. So what is that trigger point? So if I start journaling from 1 month to the second month to the third month, April, May, June, I'll be aware, and what are the food I'm having will also give you the causes. So it's basically self introspect journey which you go through, and that's absolutely fine, feeling very good sometimes, and feeling because it's a natural body, chemical we keep on juggling. So that's fine, it's natural.
Right. I think that's definitely nice to understand. Next up, I have another question, which is about how if a girl or a woman who's undergoing you know, through the menstrual cycle, and if they're taking medications to suppress the cramps, because they're unbearable for her, and she's always gone for medication. So her question is that what are the other methods that she can use to relieve pain?
So medication will work at certain point of time, and then again it will come with any kind of medication comes with lots of side effects. So you have to uh, be aware with the sense of your body, how you are feeling, and try all natural therapies, the ecotherapies, and also try psychotherapy, which will work.
Okay. I
And
mean, this is just to understand that we've already covered, ecotherapy, but here we have somebody who has been on medications. So,
so yes, medication will work, but up to till end of her life, she can't go on without the medication. It will work for a while, and again it will be become monotonous using the medication. So there are alternative, options where she can go for without medication. The way she can go for stuff like as we mentioned about ecotherapy, but diet is also plays an important role.
right, true, true, definitely. Next up, we have, what do you think are the, we've covered what are the emotional aspects, or what are, the, I think, emotionally hampering aspects, I would say. What do you think are the, or is there a positive side to PMS?
Of course, if you have a healthy mind, healthy body, and as I mentioned, Pari, the fittest of women go through that pain. But where your mind is in that pain, as I said, I'm going through the pain, but the music is there. I'll start dancing. I'll forget my pain. So it all comes from the mindset, which environment you are there. Of course, irritability will be there, anxiety will be there, anger will be there, frustration will be there. But then, how with awareness is it hampering people around me? It is the environment, or it is if I'm eating all junk food. So, what I'm doing to my body? I'm just adding garbage inside it.
True, true.
So, positive thinking works in this.
Definitely. I think that applies to all aspects. Then we have a question about how, there are different uh, challenges that, apart from craving, there are challenges in the form of hormonal acne that then, not just physically becomes a barrier, but also psychologically it affects us. So, how do you think can we, overcome that?
So in PMS, acne is a common symptom. There is your doctor will give you this hormonal, month hormonal pills, birth contraceptive pills for hormones, and which will again balance, and the acne will go away. Uh, so for acne, of course, you need to go and consult a gynec or your doctor who will help you, and it is a common symptom of PMS. And again, it does affect our mindset. It does affect. We feel low, like pimple aa gaya, abhi main kya karu? We'll try and do all that, pack and because that's we focus so much on the external part, external beauty, we forget inside what's happening.
True. That's definitely a valid point, Payal.
Mm.
And that, I think, brings for a different conversation altogether. That, in an attempt to deal with the external, sometimes we lose sight of what's going on in the internal, and the way to resolve it is working on the internal rather than, doing X number of things, as you mentioned, say applying a pack, or there are too many things that go there. Let's not go there. Meanwhile, we have another question, which is about how people who have problems like PCOS, where the menstrual cycle can become unpredictable. So, in that case, how can we, help there?
So when if you're going through PCOS, I will just give you a suggestion. Do connect with your gynec. She will be, because PMS it plays a very small role in PCOS, because gynec will be able to better explain you and give you the form of medications. And I will suggest use all the natural therapies for PCOS.
Right. Definitely. I think we have a lot of, we have a couple of people who have asked us about, hormonal acne, PCOS. So I think that definitely answers that point. We have another question about, uh, I think we should then move on to our question, which I think is an interesting aspect, right? When it comes to menstruation, there are too many cultural and religious aspects, right? There are too many cultural and religious associations that come into the picture. You have, just to point out a few, there is the fact that you can't enter kitchens, you can't enter a place of worship, you can't, essentially, you are, expected to stay inside and limit your movement, limit stepping out. I mean, and I wouldn't even say that these are, older taboos, because I believe that there is still, there are still areas, there are still places, there are still women who have to deal with these in their day to day lives across the world, right? So, do you think that this stigma, right, this taboo, I mean, menstruation as a concept still isn't talked about as we started out, right? It's still not an open conversation. People are hesitant. People are hesitant to talk about it. People are hesitant to, express the pain that goes through, to talk about PMS as well as sanitary napkins. So all of that is still a big, it's a big stigma even today. And this, when coupled with the stigma of mental health, how do you think it adds to the anxiety and depression for women?
So again, we coming to the stigma thing, we cannot challenge cultural beliefs. We can come together, work on it, work on the challenges. So we have that option of expansion and exploration. So either we go with the society norm, just flow with it, or we come together, challenge, and have a say, have a voice. So there are lots of support groups. And basically, when we communicate, we have to communicate very softly, and we need to deliver with conviction. So the allowance, either flow with it, because you flow with the allowance. If you are staying in the society, you need to go follow the norms. Or and you have that expansion and exploration, voice out with support groups. And with together we can challenge and overcome the stigma, remove the stigma.
Definitely. That I think is critical when it comes to dealing with it, as a combination. So, not just dealing with the stigma of menstruation, but also coupled with the stigma of mental health. uh, Talking about, how it hampers our day-to-day functioning, I have a question which is about how, so this woman says that she gets super anxious, and she gets super anxious that she thinks she might faint, and this hampers her ability to function during the week. How can she work through this?
So my question to you is, where that anxiety comes from, where that anxiousness comes from. When you start journaling, how do you feel, where it is coming from? Is it coming from the part of your relationships, or is it because you are going through that PMS will be coming? Is it because that's very you can't overcome that, you don't want to face that? So asking self introspect questions, where this anxiety is coming from, and working with it with awareness and changing with small dietary lifestyle, and introspect questions, journaling. When you start journaling, things ease out. So when I do journaling, I go through my last month from my period state, and I journal and I say, where was this stress caused from? What was the reasons? And now why this stress is coming? Is it the same stress, or is it something, some other stress? So where, from which area it is coming? And when you are aware and how you feel, that anxiety, that anxiousness comes, you will get your answer by yourself. It's your inner work. It's lots of it's about dealing with inner work.
True, true. I think not just for experiencing symptoms of fatigue, but I think this would also apply to all symptoms, right? Whatever you're going through, it's about connecting with the inner self, understanding the root of that feeling, and
Physical changes, emotional changes with day-to-day lifestyle, which coexist, where it is coming from. We need to, first step is again awareness, and second step is journaling, and the most important is the diet.
right.
Premenstrual, before your cycle, during your cycle, and even after your cycle. When you start changing your diet, your lifestyle, everything will be changed. You will be a more happy and more courageous person, and you'll find your peace in your chaos.
True, true. Um, I think I have a request to make. I think one of the participants lost their connection in between. So, they're requesting if you could delve upon the dietary and lifestyle aspect uh, once more. Would that be possible?
Yeah. Yes. So, uh, food, what we eat before, during, and after is very important. And as we said, when women goes through this menstrual cycle, it's losing lots of water. So simple formula, where what you are losing, you need to restore. So you are losing naturally, you need to restore uh, naturally. How will you do it? So as you said, if you have that craving of sweet, and it's a quick fix of having a chocolate or a junk food, because you have a craving of oily food, but is it not going to help? Because with water, when you lose your iron, you lose your vitamins, you lose minerals. So you need to have healthy food, healthy nuts, fresh juices, light food, mm, sweet potatoes. Have to see an option of chocolate. What else can you, what's a healthy option of chocolate? And that will work. So small dietary changes and journaling. Your food journaling also helps during the month of cycle. So you are aware. So last month when you were in your month of cycle, PMS, you ate this, pre, post, and during your cycle, and this has happened. If you note down even pointers in your journal, and so next month will also help you. Okay, now I will be aware. I had this, so I was more anxious, or more pain was there. Now I will take care. Now I'll experiment with other foods, healthy options.
Definitely. Also, looking at a good diet, not just for adults, but from an adolescent's perspective, how important do you think is that for, dealing with PMS?
Yes, diet plays a major role, whether it is adolescence, teenage, middle age, or even during when you go through that menopause phase also. It plays a major role. Diet and light exercise.
Okay, so what would you suggest would be like a good diet for, adolescents? Talking about, the age
Fresh
group when you're
food,
just
fresh fruits, healthy veggies, healthy dips. So there are hummus dips also. You can just make a variation and decorate it. So the adolescent will feel attractive because they like that attractive kind of food. So just prepare something healthy and just present to them. They will eat it. Mm. Yes, fresh vegetables, fresh fruits in the form of dips also. Adolescents, it is helpful for adolescents.
definitely, I think that's valid food that looks good definitely attracts them, and if it's healthier, that's definitely an added bonus and a good start, especially when trying to understand what a body is going through. Talking about guiding children, right? Especially those who are relatively new to the concept of undergoing premenstrual syndrome and menstruation as a phenomenon itself. How do you think, or what do you think is the best way to guide or educate children, especially daughters, when it comes about PMS?
Yes, they because they are maybe they are schooling when they get through this first time. You need to have a healthy conversation with your children and explaining them that it is a part of a life cycle, lifestyle in a life of a female, and it will be a part. And even I, when I was of your age, uh, I have also gone through it. So having a healthy conversation, a rapport building works with children, and it's all about how you feel and how you feel about good about yourself, and giving them healthy options of eating, and telling them that no, it is a part and we are there with you.
Right. That's, I think, a wonderful insight, and also understanding and preparing them better and making them well equipped for dealing with what they are to face. I have another question with respect to medication. So their main concern is that, do you think having medicines during the menstrual cycle can affect their health at a later stage?
Yes, so when you have this medicine, so at that time it will work, but again it will come with lots of side effects. It will come with side effects.
Okay. So then your suggestion would be to opt for natural ways. You have ecotherapy, as we've discussed. And
Psychotherapy, ecotherapy, food is the major concern here.
okay, great. I think we've covered a great deal of aspects when it comes to menstruation, when it comes to premenstrual syndrome, and we have a wholesome idea of what all areas one should cover with. So I think this is brings us. Okay, now we have one more question from a participant who has asked that a week before her periods, she undergoes major loss of concentration, interest, and overall change in the basic mood, and becomes low, irritable, faces sleep issues, and a little self doubt, along with increased diet as well. Are these things, do they come under PMDD? It's about premenstrual disorder, and how can she do her best to deal with it?
Yes, definitely it comes under PMDD. So to overcome that, journaling. First step is how you feel about yourself. So be aware about it. The second step is food. Uh, 80-90% is the food, what she eats. And again, in this, psychotherapy will help. So taking from for pain to pleasure, what CBT does will help.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I think we're taking the last question now. Sorry, I know I mentioned that before as well. For excessive cramps that one faces during the first day of menstruation, right? What measures would you suggest, one take?
Again, listening to music, sleeping elevated with legs elevated, putting a cushion under the leg, using hot water bag or a cold pack to see what works for her best, and avoiding junk food and having fresh juices, being light, not even not a simple like day to day what we eat, Very light juices and salads, the cramps might reduce.
Okay, perfect. I think that's again extremely insightful. On that note, I would want to, quickly summarize the discussion we've had, starting with connecting with the inner body, understanding the symptoms that one goes through, and the way to do that is via journaling. And I think one thing that even I've learned today is about food journaling, something which I've never tried. I think we've all given daily journaling in terms of emotions try, but food journaling and understanding how it could be about how it can help, and how it can be extremely impactful is something that I've also learned today. So, going undergoing food journaling to understand that which kind of which food can affect us in what manner. So that's definitely something that we should all aim for. Along with practicing, we've understood about ecotherapy, how different aspects such as listening to music. I think that's something that Piles definitely emphasized upon. That's one of our personal tips as well. Do you? So as a closing note, would you want to add any further personal tips?
I'll just add how you feel about yourself, give priority, be kind, be gentle, love your body, love each and every part of your body, be aware, accept yourself the way you are, embrace yourself even during the changes. So, when you are at your worst, when you are going through the pains, be your best and be safe, be positive, and be happy. God bless you all.
Definitely. Thank you so much. So there's been, combination of dietary and lifestyle practices that Paila suggested that can be extremely useful in uh, decreasing, the discomfort, the menstrual pains as a whole, right? Dealing with it in a lot, in a healthier manner, in a more aware aspect is the key to understanding premenstrual syndrome. And also, I think for those of you who have young children at home, right? Giving them a consolidated understanding. I mean, I'm not sure if this had been practiced before, but I remember in my school there was a time, around seventh, eighth standard, where there would be, I'm not sure if they were gynacs, but some doctors would visit, like, right? We had sessions with lady doctors who did give us basic training of trying to make us understand that what a body is going through. And does this happen now as well? I'm not aware of that. Okay. Ira,
Can
are you aware of it?
uh, can you repeat? I can't. The voice was slow.
I was saying that I remember when I was, in school around the time, around seventh, eighth standard, right? The age back then when women would start. So there were sessions by doctors, by lady doctors. I'm not sure if they were gynacs, but you know, they would have slides to make us understand, what the body is going through and how these changes occur. And also, how one can deal with it. So I'm sure, I mean, I was just checking if you're aware that if this
But
still happens.
no, for in my school, no, it was not happening. So you have been very lucky. In my time, I don't think so. My mother guided me. My grandmother guided me. Of course, my friends were there. So you have been very lucky. In our time, it was not. It's not there. So it's good that awareness is there. People are coming out and opening up, and also there are gents, there are males who are also supporting in this time when their spouse or their mother or their sister or their friends they go through and they are supporting their opening up.
True, true. And I also heard about some organization that has also started the practice of period leaves. of, I think 10 leaves a year is something that I read up on to, help women, deal better, to, take out that time, right? I think on a closing note, Pile, I would want to discuss this bit about, how there are women who usually, don't really give themselves the space, the privilege of taking time off, right? There's this expectation somewhere, I believe, that even in, while experiencing the worst of cramps, or while undergoing terrible PMS symptoms, right, they continue to carry on as if nothing is happening. How, do you think that, how does that impact one's mental health, and how should, one be open enough, and should actually, more than open, yeah, they should essentially prioritize themselves and give themselves that, I mean, that should, I don't think it should be a privilege, but yes, it should be a natural response of taking time off, devoting, to whatever you want to do, whether it's listening to your favorite song, or eating a healthier version of whatever you're craving for.
Paridi, during those times, few years back, maybe a decade ago, there was not lots of awareness about it, right? So I was speaking to my mentor recently, and she said, Payal, when we used to go through this PMS or this entire cycle of periods, our mother used to tell us, Abhi, like, get up and get going. What is this? Why you're feeling low? So you, right now, since the age, digital age has expanded, social media, and we have been coming out more open. So there are lots of awareness has happened, and lots of options. The areas have been opened up. So decades ago, there was not much awareness. So they had that, like, no, you should go do your work. But right now, women are considering giving self the priority, and it is good. Pampering yourself, it is good. It's nothing right or wrong. But yeah, me time is always a me time.
True, true. I think definitely we should be grateful enough that, we're living in a time where we have the luxury of, saying no to certain tasks, certain responsibilities, and focusing.
Being assertive.
Oh, definitely. Being assertive as well. When it comes to dealing with what we're going through, because at the end of the day, it's our body. And on that note, I would want to then conclude the session that, our objective through this series, right, which is, I think I forgot to mention the name, which is essentially about how, making women's mental health a priority, and being assertive, giving yourself that space and that freedom to prioritize yourself, not just while PMS, but overall, you know while undergoing any role, any responsibility is definitely important, and we hope that through this series we will be able to achieve that. Thank you so much, Payal, for joining.
Thank you, Paridhi. You have been fabulous. Thank you, Healthy Minds and Team. God bless you all.
Thank you, Payal. Thank you, participants. It's been great to have you. We've had a wonderful session, and I hope that we've been able to answer your queries. For any further questions, please do. You can reach out to us. We've shared the links, we've shared the email IDs, whatever platform works for you. Please do get in touch with us. And yes, thank you so much. We hope, Payal, we're able to connect with you again for extremely, another interesting session in the future.
Looking forward. Thank you, audience. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Payal. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day, and see
God
you.
bless you. Bye.
Bye.